First, if you just sat through that speech, you have to ask yourself the same question that I asked myself. Who wrote that bullshit? Straight up. Who wrote that? Because I can tell when you're reading something that you didn't write and that you didn't even get a chance to look at before you opened your mouth. They've been censoring us all day. I have seen comments that have not posted in conversations with other people. I have had people ask me questions and I have responded to their questions only for the answers to disappear. So they are heavily censoring us today. Let me wave at a few folks. I had to come and holler at y'all because I can't let y'all walk around in ignorance and I can't let you continue to walk around being bullshitted. Big shout out to all my regular followers and all of my new followers. Welcome to the party, but this ain't the kind of party that you tune in to hear. Look, I'm gonna tell you just like this. This is not about who knows anything first. This is not about who can one up somebody. This is not about none of that. And if you got a problem having somebody tell you when something is seriously going on, then you just go on ahead and be a victim and we'll remember you well. But for those of you all who've been thinking a lot of things in your head and then you see something and the two don't line up and then you sit back and be like, they must take me for a damn fool. Then this is for you. All I want you to do is do some thinking, because that's how this gets down on this page. And in case you didn't know, no offense, before I even go in and let you know this is a pro-black page, it don't mean I hate everybody else. I just love my people. So at the end of the day, the information is going to be for them because there's some things we need to deal with. But first, let's dig into what you just heard. That lie, that speech, whoever wrote it, for real, let me go ahead and break it down in case y'all didn't catch it. Okay, first of all, I don't trust anybody who reads prepared statements because I don't know who wrote it. And it makes you look like a puppet. Yeah, Obama was smooth with the lyrics. He could talk off the top of his head kind of like I can if you give me the subject matter. And Bill Clinton was very good at it. He made you think he was casually kicking it with you while he was actually reading from a teleprompter. But I can't stand somebody that they done made get up there and you gonna read this and they reading it and you like, you stumbling, you can't, you swallowing hard. Bruh, do you even believe? You make yourself look like a puppet. What I saw tonight was a puppet. I know when somebody's making you read something. All you have to do is go watch a few hostage videos. When they had the hostages over in Iran, they used to make them read statements. I can tell when somebody's making you read something. So anyway, real quick, I want to touch on something, then I'm going to get about your hair because I think I've done everything that I can to warn you. Big shout out to all my friends, associates, followers, friends, and foes that did take my advice and you went and you got prepared. Now you just sitting back on the porch watching the whole thing go down. It ain't scary yet. It's gonna get a whole lot scarier than this. But since I'm facts over feelings and being scared is an emotion, I'm not gonna touch that. I'm just gonna deal in cold hard facts. You make the decision on yourself and then you do what you think you need to do, because at the end of the day, y'all don't understand what they're doing. It's gonna be everybody for themselves. And I raised this flag to y'all 2 months ago so you could be ahead of them. But a lot of y'all was distracted by other things like Kobe passing and who gonna win the primaries and all of this stuff that doesn't matter when this monster been steady coming up the block. Now dude gonna get up on here and he gonna say the first thing is, he gonna announce travel restrictions and he gonna do all it. Really? So you gonna restrict travel to Europe? Okay. But this virus is in 102 countries now. Are you restricting travel from all those countries too? Because a lot of the people that's traveling back and forth, and I don't travel. I have imposed myself in self-quarantine. I haven't interacted and I don't want to interact with nobody. And when I do go out, remember 2 months ago, I was the strange guy in the airport with all these masks and all this stuff on. 2 months ago, I was the one getting pointed at when they was going, he's overreacting. 2 months ago when I told y'all where to go to buy this stuff and y'all just, okay, it was cool to watch, but you went on with your lives. 2 months ago, now look what done happened. Now I go up in the airport. If there's anybody there, everybody masked up. Oh, really? Well, hold on. We need to unpack some stuff. So this whole sweeping travel ban between America and Europe for 30 days. Oh, really? Bro, that was one of the most stupid, asinine things you could do. If you're going to close the borders, close them all together. Close all. Don't show no favoritism to nobody. We don't know who got it already, and we don't need no extra folks coming in, and we don't need nobody getting out. Shut it down. That's how they got Italy on lock right now. He declared an emergency, but he didn't say it. Understand, implied consent is what that means. Now that he said it's an emergency, notice all of a sudden they got all this money to pull out to try to address this and address that. But there's a couple of things y'all didn't hear about. I'm gonna talk to you real quick about those too. He also said that he tried to blame China and he tried to blame Europe. Bruh, this ain't got nothing to do with China no more. It ain't got nothing to do with Europe. Them people got their own issues. You need to deal with the issue in your house. My mother used to always tell me, either you deal with the issue or the issue gonna deal with you. You done had 2 months head start on this thing. But nah, you're just a puppet. And let me take a step back. I saw what happened when they put Pence up there to try to speak. You know, I used to always think maybe he was the brains of the outfit. Like Cheney was the brains of the outfit behind Bush, but no. When dude got up there and started trying to talk, it really hit me like, oh my God, we really don't have nobody in the cockpit. We in this motherfucker on automatic pilot, y'all. Y'all better listen to me. Or I'm gonna visit every last one of y'all, every one of y'all grave sites. Real talk. That's how serious it done got. This ain't to scare you. It's to make you aware. Somebody got to snap y'all out of it. Now, as y'all have heard by now, there has been an outbreak in Boston. And that the source of the outbreak came from a gathering of a bunch of people. And the only thing they will tell you is that the name of the company is Biogen. Biogen is a name that is very familiar to me, and I'll tell you why. It's because of what they do. You see, I have another side, my good people. I'm like Batman and Bruce Wayne, and a lot of y'all gonna learn something about me tonight. Yeah, you might know this side of me, but there's a whole nother side of me that you never see. And because of that, I find myself working in a lot of some of the biggest corporations on earth, complete with a top secret security clearance that gets me into places that you would never even know exist. And every time I work at one of these corporations or one of these companies, I keep the badge as a memento. Last year about this time, I did some work for this company in Boston. It's in Cambridge. It actually sits in downtown, the Cambridge side of Boston. It is called Biogen. Biogen does human DNA genome analysis and sequencing. In other words, these are doctors and scientists who go in and study the structure of the DNA and then amass it into a massive database. One human being takes up about 200 gigs. That's how big your code is. My job, I'm the architect. I design the cloud infrastructure that those databases live on, and I secure them globally between Ireland and the United States. Oh, that's just the part I can tell you about. Here's the crazy part. I left that place because they were so racist. I'm gonna let that marinate. Karma is a bitch. I walked out on them because they were super racist. You know anything about Boston, they racist as hell up there. So for me to hear that the very people, if this was a bioweapon, these would have been the people who would have built it. And you mean to tell me that all of them, they got them in one place together, and 72 of them came down with the very thing that they would have created? Don't it sound to y'all like somebody trying to clean up the act so there's dead men don't talk? Yeah, I worked there. So when I heard Biogen, and it sits on Cambridge University, so it's very deeply integrated with the school and the US government. For me to hear that, and I was there, that's a little too close for comfort. That's a little too close for comfort. So I want you all to understand that what this man stood up there and said, and what he's saying to you, was written by somebody who's trying to calm you down. But he didn't address the real deal. He didn't get into the numbers. The coronavirus cases have now passed 115,000 worldwide. Okay? Yeah, they suspended travel from Europe for 30 days beginning this Friday night. Notice they said Friday night to give people time to run back and forth, get more infected people moving in the pipelines and whatnot, right? Here's the latest number. This COVID-19, which I told you has infected more than 115,800 people, including now over 1,000. Remember last week, we were just at 4, 5, 6, 12. We 1,000 and has killed over 4,200 worldwide. Okay. So the question then becomes, okay, let's take a step back. We need to take a step back. We do. We need to take a step back because a lot has happened in 8 weeks. And I need to give y'all some advice on how you can protect yourself. This man is setting y'all up for a massive failure. And I'm also going to go back and revisit what I did talk about earlier, this myth that black people are somehow immune to COVID-19 because there have not been any admitted cases in the media. Notice they ain't lifting us up for nothing. Heaven forbid they do have one of us, or his name will be plastered all over the news every day. So the guy that they were using the rumor about from Cameroon, no, that didn't count because that turned out not to be true. But he's put a travel ban between the United States and Europe for 30 days. Now watch this. That also includes products. That means anything that's shipped back and forth. That means certain prices might have to go up now because those things are no longer available for 30 days. Don't y'all see the mindset of where these people are going? Hold on. He said also that they're not going to restrict other countries as of yet. I don't know when the last time y'all flew on a plane, but it ain't just people from Europe that's on the plane with me. When I'm on the plane, it's all nationalities. It's a whole lot of diversity and everybody sniffling and sneezing and coughing and so forth. So you going to just ban them? No, you should have banned everybody. I tried to go through his speech and I rode along with him. And what I found out was that this man had the audacity to talk about the economy, how we're going to protect the economy. He didn't give a damn about the people. And then he even went so far as to say he's going to tell the SBA to give a loan to small businesses that are a loan, not a grant, a loan with interest. They're going to put you, hold on. Debt is slavery. In case you don't know that, when you're in debt to someone, you are a slave to them. So their response is to give this money as a loan to small businesses being mostly minorities, and that you have to pay it back. Come on, that's about as much as a setup as Bernie trying to tell y'all he gonna do a $15 an hour a minimum wage. But then when you figure in the cost of living and all the taxes and so forth, you didn't make nothing. Nice try, Bernie. Then he gonna go back and say he gonna give $50 billion to the SBA. Bro, they had a hard time getting $8 billion out of you for this. Where the $50 billion gonna come from? You know where it's coming from. It's coming out of your paycheck. Oh, that's another thing we need to talk about. They trying to tell y'all, stay home, stay home, stay home. I'm gonna get to that in a minute. The whole stay home piece. Because I need to speak directly to my people about a story that just came out in Forbes about how stay home disproportionately affects black people. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that real. Then he goes into, I'm going to tell you, I knew he didn't write this because as stupid as this man is, when he got to these things about make sure you wash your hands and stay clean. This is the president of the United States of America on nationwide TV telling you to wash your ass. Well, did it ever occur to you that maybe the reason you don't see as many of certain groups of people that come down with this because we wash our ass? Because we're the ones that taught you how to clean your ass when we civilized Spain? Or y'all done got lazy with it. Guess what? Shit done got out. Now, that also being said, he says he's going to ask for some emergency financial relief. What makes you think that you cannot throw money at everything? Y'all just care about your economy. Y'all don't care about, listen, let me get into some facts here. That's what I got out of the speech. These are the notes I made from the speech. That was a bunch of garbage. I don't want to hear that. What I do want to share with you is the following information. And before I do that, if y'all don't mind, I'm going to read something to you straight out of the book that you should have close by, and that is Behold a Pale Horse. If you go to that book with me and you have the book, turn to page 57, where it talks about the table of strategies, where it talks about diversion and summary. It says, keep the adult public attention diverted away from the real social issues and captivated by matters of no real importance. Schools keep the young people ignorant of real mathematics, real economics, real law, and real history. And then finally, entertainment. Keep the public entertainment below a 6th grade level. And y'all wonder what happened to hip hop. Hold on, let me slide a little further in this. Then if you go over to page, what page am I on here? Page 121. If y'all still got the book, it's the book right here. If you look right there on chapter 6, there's a whole section on FEMA, a tool that can be used to establish the police state. I'm gonna let that hang in the air for a minute, because of the simple fact that we found out a couple of weeks ago that the true purpose of FEMA is not to manage the emergency so that it helps you. Their job is to operate the camps to detain you in case there's an uprising with the assistance of the military. Big shout out to my dude up in Seattle whose mom is right down the block from Fort Lewis, Washington, which is where the Ranger battalions are. She said they've been getting ready all day. Getting ready for what? You understand what I'm saying? Up in New York, New Rochelle, they got, some guys said they got Constantina, they rolling out. Why? What y'all about to do? Didn't y'all see the movie Containment? Did any of y'all see the movie Containment? If you haven't seen the movie Containment, it's on Netflix. Go watch it. They are playing this right out the book. I lie to you not. I know somebody on here seen this shit. They are playing it straight. I'm like, is this the movie I just watched? I'm talking about character for character, move for move, the whole 9 yards. In other words, they like to show you what they're going to do before they do it to you, because they smooth like that. They flashy. That's having style. It's one thing to do something to somebody. It's another thing to do it with style. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to set a booby trap for you. And when it goes off, I'm going to be long gone. But you're going to know it was me. See, that's doing shit with style. You understand what I'm saying? So let me jump ahead a little further in the book, and I'm going to jump out of here. This is what probably a lot of y'all don't know. And if you get a copy of Behold the Pale Horse, you got the Bible to survive these times. Listen to this right here. Way back here, buried on page 444. If you know something about your numbers, on 444, it talks about there's a memo. These are unclassified documents that have been, they used to be top secret, that now they're out. This is actually a hearings before a Senate subcommittee on the appropriations for the House of Representatives. This is on the research, development, test, and evaluation of biological weapons. It's real small, so y'all got to bear with me while I put my face way down here so you can read what I read, and it blew my whole mind off. Now remember, this has already been done before. Here's the proof right here. It says, in 1969, 3 years before the World Health Organization's request, the United States Defense Department requested and got $10 million to make the AIDS virus in a lab as a political ethnic weapon to be used mainly against blacks. I am not making this up. The feasibility program in labs were to have been completed by 1974 and 1975. The virus was supposed to be finished between 1974 and 1979. The World Health Organization started to inject AIDS-laced smallpox vaccine into over 100 million Africans in 1977. And over 2,000 young white male homosexuals who were to serve as a Trojan horse in 1978 and injected into New York City. This is an unclassified, top secret document about how the U.S. government created a bioweapon that backfired on them horribly. So please don't put it past your mind that they didn't engineer this up with them same damn folks that I was working with in racist ass Boston, and the shit done got loose and backfired. I'm gonna tell you what I think. Somebody didn't get their part of the deal. So they said, you know what? We can talk free here. Y'all got me mucked up. And I'll unleash this bioweapon on the world. Now try me. And they tried them. And they unleashed it on the world. The problem with the United States is, as usual, everybody walking around in the fog has been slow to respond to what you should have been getting ready for all along. So one more time, let's play catch up. All right, let me play y'all. The coronavirus outbreak, it started in Wuhan, China. It has killed more than 4,300 people, and now they're saying it has infected 121,500 worldwide in more than 100 countries. That number just jumped up 5,000 from the time I started this live. And y'all don't think that this thing is going to explode. As the virus spreads, voluntary or involuntary home quarantine is what they recommended. Okay, that sounds like a good idea, but we need to address that, black folks. We're going to get to y'all in a minute. Okay. Some people saying stay home for 2 weeks and and you're supposed to have supplies. We already went over what you're supposed to have. I talked about that before. All the things that you're supposed to have in your house. Keep a 30-day supply of food, water, household supplies, laundry detergent, diapers if you got small children, medicine, things to keep your mind right, all kind of stuff. Everybody putting out lists now, so you can go raid the stores and panic like I heard they was doing in Seattle today. They said it was crazy out there. But you still need to go ahead and think about doing that. Here come the problem. And before I get into that, I need to go ahead and blow the whistle on something that a lot of y'all don't know. Okay? Now, you've heard of the Bill Gates and the Melinda Gates Foundation. Their name popping up a lot in all of this mess. But do any of you all know what they really do? Have any of you all ever visited their website and see what they said? I want to stop real quick, and I want to shout out everybody who's taking the time to listen. I know I got some of my people in here also that will address your questions. They're in the room with you. I see your comments, but I'm not going to comment on those. There are folks that I trust to give you the right answer. Feel free to ask your answer out loud. I have a few of my folks in the audience sitting there with you, so that way we can keep trolls and haters and all them down to a minimum. But anyway, there was an event called Event 201, which was a pandemic exercise that was conducted on October the 18th, 2019. And it demonstrated a number of those important gaps in them being prepared. Now, out of that, they came up with some recommendations. I would read the recommendations to you, but they really don't have jack shit to do with you and I surviving anything. They're more so how to maintain business structure. And that's exactly what they're attempting to do. But what I wanted to do real quick was I wanted to kind of touch on that, because a lot of people don't know that this actually happened, that they had this exercise. And in that exercise, they predicted that it would kill 65 million people. You don't understand what I'm saying. They didn't do this exercise and then say, oh, well, we projecting. We just, no. They said that based on the input that they used for this project and everything that was based on where we was in October of 2019, that 65 million people would die within 8 months. 8 months. Now y'all look at this. This thing broke out at the end of December. Here we are 2 months in. We're getting into the third month. And them numbers is exploding. Okay? But let's talk about Bill and Melinda for a minute. If you go to their page, they actually got all of these great things. They got all these different races. They said they're doing stuff to try to improve health and education. And they only focusing on Africa and countries where there are brown people. So I said, let me dig a little bit. And I dug into their site. And what I found out was what they're not telling you in the news. Pay attention to this. And we're going to walk backwards. Today is the 11th of March. On March the 9th, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Welcome and MasterCard got together to launch an initiative to speed development and access to therapies for COVID-19. The Gates Foundation and Welcome are each contributing up to $50 million, and the MasterCard Impact Fund has committed up to $25 million to catalyze the initial work of the accelerator. They are trading money back and forth, positioning themselves for the cure and for the maintenance of those folks after the fact. Well, let's take 5 days before that. On March the 4th, 2020, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation committed $5 million to help public health agencies in Greater Seattle respond to the COVID-19. They just happened to give $5 million to the ground zero. But then nobody know that was going to be ground zero, or did they? February the 5th, 2020. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation dedicates additional funding to the novel coronavirus response. The foundation will provide up to $100 million to improve detection, isolation, treatment efforts, protect risk populations in Africa, and accelerate the development of vaccine, drugs, and diagnostics. But the problem is, why are you so worried about us? Well, if you've been following my page, it's time for me to dig into something that a few folks did not know. Let me help you out. They did a study a few years ago, and there are several of them that have been published. And if you don't know how this works, it goes like this. Up until the 1800s, the population of human beings on this planet was relatively low. It was after the 1800s that the population began to explode. So they did some studies to figure out just how many human beings can this planet support. And you don't base it on land. You don't base it on resources. You base it on the ability to produce food. And once you got more people than you can feed, you enter into a famine. The ecosystems of this planet can only support 10 billion people. We're at 7.3 right now. And in their studies, they realized that the food production, including the consumption of meat, since y'all like to eat meat. See what I'm saying? That changes it. If you eat meat, so they got to have somewhere to graze. So they got to let some of those resources go. They said somewhere around 2050 that we're going to be 9, 10 billion strong. That's the limit. You think they're going to wait for it to get that high? We at 7.3 right now, y'all. It's 2020. We're talking 30 years. And let's be honest, who's producing more? We are. Black folk, brown folk. That's where they want to try to stop the depopulation. Now think about this. Ebola came from Africa. Ebola got loose. Yeah, it killed a bunch of people over there, but they knew if they let that shit get over here, it was a wrap. And they got it contained. This particular little agent appears to be attacking everybody except us, but we don't know that because we can only go on what the media tells us, and it keeps changing day by day. But I do want to talk about this real quick. I need to talk about what's the implications for black folks and black communities, because they're telling you that we're in a pandemic right now and they're telling you to stay home, right? Okay. So it's been about a month. For more than a month, panic and perplexity have plagued Americans who are fearful of a possible coronavirus pandemic. That is now a reality. Furthermore, the response from the United States government has done very little to stop us all feeling like they don't know what the hell they're doing. According to the World Health Organization, the first known cases, it came from China. That was what was that? 2.5 months later, they now got to figure out how they're going to formalize and approach this. Last week, while everybody was focused on the 2020 primary in South Carolina, Melanie Campbell, who's a DC-based civil rights activist and a convener of the Black Women's Roundtable, assembled a panel of women to discuss the power of the sister vote. And while she was there, Carol Joyner, who's the director of the Labor Project for Working Families and Family Values, she stood up and got sick of the BS, and she broke down what a lot of y'all don't even want to face. She stood up and asked this question right here, and I'm going to ask y'all the same thing. It says, how many people today saw something on the news about the coronavirus? Raise your hand. And she was talking to about 500 people, okay? And she said this is happening in a moment when 40% of the people in the United States do not have a single paid sick day. So the CDC says stay home so you won't spread the disease. But if you stay home, you're likely not to get paid. You didn't hear the president come on tonight and say they were going to issue checks for everybody who had to stay home. Let's say your job is not a work from home job. I do a lot of work from home. I can work from home. I'm an IT professional. I write code. You understand what I'm saying? I don't have to go anywhere. I can do it all from right here. But what if your job requires you to be on deck? You understand what I'm saying? What if your job, what if you work in fast food? What if you work in, you know what I'm saying, work in a factory? What are you supposed to do? Sit at home and 2 weeks without a check? A month without a check? If you live in check to check, they just killed you. I know people who had 2 jobs. They would fly to this job, then they fly to that job, and they were raking in mad dough. They shut that down. That just ended. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? What you all don't understand is amongst low wage earners and among people of color, almost 80% lack a single paid sick day. We talking bus drivers. We talking people who care for our children. We talking child care workers. We talking about restaurant workers, servers serving our food. All these folks are struggling to have a single paid sick day. So there's that paid sick day that allows you to take 1 or 2, 3 days off to go get tested for the coronavirus. There's also the longer term where you're supposed to self-quarantine for, say, 2, 3. Come on, y'all. He ain't talking to us. He talking at us. And even though you hear this president constantly applauding his record for unemployment and the African-American unemployment rate has evidently hit a new low, a December 2019 report from the Center for American Progress shows that Black Americans still face systematic obstacles in obtaining good jobs that will offer them the kind of benefits that can sustain them in the event of a COVID-19 pandemic. A lot of y'all haven't thought about that. And much of that decline in labor is attributed to the wage gap that this country has only now decided to start to address. When 1 in 3 people carries the union card, those days been over. Ronald Reagan ended that for us, and it's been downhill ever since. The data lays plain that 109 plus months of uninterrupted job growth has done little to correct the persistent inequalities and the inequities that date back over 400 years. And the report from the CAP further points out that Black workers have fewer well-paying, stable jobs with decent benefits than white workers. Only a little more than half of African Americans, 55.4%, had private health insurance in 2018, compared to 74.8% of whites. Ain't nothing changed. Where my Essence magazine readers at? In a recent op-ed for Essence, the 2020 presidential candidate Bernie Sanders, y'all know Big Slick Bernie, he used the health disparities faced by Black Americans to champion his case for Medicare for all. He said, let's be clear, African Americans are disadvantaged by an employer-based insurance system, unquote. In America today, Black employment rates remain disproportionately low due to well-documented employment discrimination, unequal public education, and other systemic biases. And while 65% of white families receive insurance through their employer, only 46% of Black families do. So which in part explains why the uninsured rate for Black Americans is 11%, over 50% higher than that of white Americans. Yet they want you to stay home. But he ain't talked to us yet. He ain't talked to us yet. So y'all need to understand that it's going to hit us a lot harder than it is other folks, because while the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is giving millions, 100 million here, 50 million here, trying to make sure that somebody's in a position to get a cure going, they're not donating none of that money to none of these Black neighborhoods or to none of these Black-owned companies. They're not walking into a place like New York or Atlanta or Miami or Detroit or Chicago or Indianapolis. I'm just going through the chocolate cities. They're not walking into D.C., Baltimore, Philly. They're not showing up with a truckload of money saying, look, we know y'all got to stay home. The check is in the mail. They're not doing that. They're not doing that at all. So, again, the speech you heard tonight was bullshit. I'm calling bullshit on it. What he basically told y'all was that he only give a damn about is the economy. I've also told you that if you don't understand that they did come up with some recommendations from this exercise, and the exercise did predict that 65 million would die. And even when someone went back and asked them, you mean that was just for the exercise? They said, hell no. We didn't run the exercise because we didn't have nothing better to do. We ran the exercise because we wanted to see how bad it would be and what we would need to do. Matter of fact, I'll share the 7 recommendations that they said when they came up out of this exercise. And when I read these, I was like, these are the recommendations? Y'all ain't saying shit in here that's gonna help people. Okay, here's what they said. The first thing was governments, international organizations, and businesses should plan now for how essential corporate capabilities will be utilized during a large-scale pandemic. In other words, how do we keep on working while everybody else drop dead? Number 2, industry, national governments, and international organizations should work together to enhance internationally held stockpiles of medical countermeasures to enable rapid and equitable distribution during severe panic. Too little, too late. What they basically said was y'all all need to share all your shit, so when people get sick, that ain't what's happening. Everybody is hoarding their own stuff. People out here keep, like somebody said, if everybody need to wash their hands, why you buy all the goddamn soap? Because that's what people do when they don't have all the right information. They panic. And once you have people panic because of bad information, you can't tell them nothing. We learned that in 9/11. Number 3 was countries, international organizations, and global transportation companies should work together to maintain travel and trade during severe pandemics. But the president just turned around and said there'll be no more travel between Europe and the United States. Like I said, I don't know what's really going on, but it sounded to me like somebody didn't get their cut of the pie and they started a bio war. And they're warring against the United States, China, Iran, Korea, and every goddamn body else in the G7. Somebody pissed somebody off and we're caught in the middle. Number 4, governments should provide more resources and support for the development and surge manufacturing of vaccines, therapeutics, and diagnostics that will be needed during a severe pandemic. Let me help y'all out. There is no vaccine. Stop listening to false information. They haven't developed a vaccine yet. So what they gonna give you a shot for if there's no vaccine? That don't even, what you putting into me if there ain't no vaccine? See, y'all got to wake up and stop falling for the bullshit. Ain't gonna be that many of us left when this is over. Number 5 is the global businesses should recognize the economic burden of pandemics and fight for stronger preparedness. What in the hell does that mean? Here's what they meant. They said in addition to investing more in preparing their own companies and industries, business leaders and their shareholders should actively engage with governments and advocate for increased resources for pandemic preparedness. Y'all had y'all chance to do that when you had the SARS breakout and you blew it, and then asshole got in there and cut all the funding, and now all of a sudden the very agency that you cut is the one that done blew up in your goddamn face. I'm telling you right now, if you cannot see that this man is an idiot, if you cannot see that vice president is an imbecile, if you can't see that these old white men would do anything to keep their good old boy network in power, even if it means killing all of us, then you just as bad as they is. I ain't gonna say that no more. Y'all ain't talking to me. Number 6, they came back and said international organizations should prioritize reducing economic impacts of epidemics and pandemics. How? We can't even get y'all to communicate with each other when y'all saw this shit blowing up in China. Listen, man. When this first happened, remember, it was all on the news. It was all everyday China this, China that. And then China shut that down. China said, we know we got a problem over here. Y'all need to worry about your own. And then boom, now it's everywhere. And everybody lying. And if you're not careful, they're using the local governments to put the framework in place before they send in the big dogs and lock shit down. Okay? The last recommendation they had was that governments and the private sector should assign a greater priority to developing methods to combat mis- and disinformation prior to the next pandemic response. Too late. Y'all didn't do that either. That's why we got all this bad information out here floating around. And what I don't want to see is I don't want to see one of you all die, or one of your children get sick, or one of y'all become severely damaged by this virus or whatever the hell it is because of bad information. I done told y'all about it enough. But that speech was bullshit. I had to call it. And between John Hopkins, the World Economic Forum, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, that's nothing but eugenics reinvented to get rid of us and make room for them. I'm telling you what it is right now. So once again, like I said, the latest update, 121,000. This number is growing by the moment. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when it's coming to your block. Real quick before I go. So some people is having a hard time finding these. These are the actual 3M N95 masks. Let me tell y'all something about this mask business. You can listen to them if you want to. You can sit your ass there and be like, they say I don't need no mask. And you take your dumb ass out there. Because right now, they don't even know how this thing really spreads. Did you see the article that I found out that was over in Thailand where they was talking about the more they look at this, the more it starts to look like something else and not what they thought it was. Oh, yes, it has the bits and the pieces of MERS and SARS and H1N1, but somebody has grafted onto it. Remember we talked about this when I first started. Somebody done grafted onto it the ability for it to fool the human immune system into thinking it's one of them. It's not like the AIDS virus, the HIV virus, where your body try to attack it and all hell break loose. This bro show up looking like one of us. And then once you get in, pow, and go to work. I'm gonna tell you like this. These masks right here, don't believe that bullshit, they do work. Because here's what I've learned, and I've worn mine on a plane where everybody was sniffling and coughing and sneezing, and I was ready to open up the emergency door and jump the hell out. I never took this off, but I had it properly fitted. When I got off of the plane, I could not take this off until I got out, but trying to buy these, expensive. Some of y'all, hold up. Some of y'all, put that back, there you go. Some of y'all have this. Now, this is a mask. This is a respirator. It's a mask. It's a respirator. They're using reverse psychology on you. They want you to think, well, you only need a mask if you're sick. No, motherfucker, I need a mask because I'm healthy and I don't want to get sick. And there's nothing you're going to tell me to convince me otherwise. Because last time I checked, everybody who caught this shit didn't have one of these on. And I've been wearing this for 2 months. I've been wearing this for 2 months, and I got some other shit I've been wearing for 2 months. Y'all think we playing around here. I told y'all, especially when you're dealing with the military cats. Let me show you how deep it's gonna get. We have the real shit. See, this is the filter. These are eyelets for shooting at night. This is the mask. We ain't talking about no goddamn Home Depot shit. We talking about the mask with the chemical hood. Now, can't get you one of those, you might have to improvise. Because the last time I checked, as long as you eyes, ears, nose, all of that, don't touch nothing, don't be around nobody, come near me. Listen, bro, when I go places, if I have to make a run, I'm spraying and sanitizing. Get you some of these grip gloves. That's what these are. These are just not gloves. They grip gloves. They just like your fingers. When the lady say, can you sign right here? I'm signing right there. For all you folks who don't want to be captured on facial recognition, you messing them up right now. I walked up in the FedEx the other day to sign for a package. The lady looked at me, I was all masked up. She couldn't see my eyes, my ears was covered up, my neck, I had on gloves. All she could do was say, can I see your ID? I showed her my ID. And she looked at me, I said, you know damn well you can't tell who I am. And she handed me cause that's where we're at now, y'all. It's on your street. Do not keep listening to these people. They figuring it out just like you figuring it out. They learning shit like you learning shit. They ain't superhuman, super smart. Why are you listening to these people? You know why? Because at the end of the day, just because the virus showed up, racism didn't disappear. Just because the virus showed up, we still don't have the same struggles that we had before. Just because the virus showed up, matter of fact, it changed some things for the better for some people. Y'all don't know how bad, let me show you how bad it can get. It could get so bad. I'm gonna end with this. When I first got this, I never thought that I would be able to use this in such a way. But you're gonna be sitting around and I'm gonna show up just like this. They think we bullshit. We ain't bullshitting this, Michelle. Get in there. I can't get my hand in there. There you go. Now I'm gonna be sitting there and the bro gonna walk in. Be like, I knew I'm glad I still got this thing. Y'all hold on a minute. And guess what? We gonna be like this. Cause you know what? This has its own breather, got its own mic, the whole 9 yards. And when I bought it, I never thought that it would come into any kind of purpose. But if this is gonna stop me from getting infected, you know what? Guess what? I be that. Now hold on. Whatever, the point I'm making is whatever you do, don't go out here in the blind. Don't be no idiot. And listen to the people who telling you, their story keep changing every day. And they already ran exercises, so they know how this gonna go. 65 million? Yeah, that might be a drop in the bucket when you're talking 7 billion people. But you don't want to be one of those 65 million. Because I guarantee you, if they was to say 65 million in the United States alone, there'd be no more of us. That'd be every last one of us. So, the speech was bullshit. And I'm saying it was bullshit. And I hope that they continue to send my shit up to them like they are, because I'm never going to tell you something that's not true. Be very careful where you are. My biggest concern is not this virus at all. This was already foretold and supposed to happen. if you in your word. I'm concerned about them using this as an excuse to push other agendas. For instance, if they say that we have imposed these emergency measures and you can't gather more than 200, 300 together in a group, and you can't travel, and you can't do this and you can't do that, what's going to happen when they falsely accuse you of violating one of those and then they got to take you away? Who you think they're going to take away? Don't you know that they say that in actuality, it is Black and Latino neighborhoods that will be hit by this virus more so than others because of the living conditions, because of the lack of health care, because of the lack of facilities. It's a sitting duck. It's a gasoline waiting, it's a can ready to blow. They already know that. This ain't nothing new to them. The fact that they playing everybody for stupid is what blows my mind. And then for the very scientists, the data scientists, the DNA experts who was working on this shit, for all of them to suddenly get sick at one conference. Cousin. Y'all better wake up. It's in this book. They already talked about it. They tried it once. Now guess what? They're going to do it to y'all again. Only difference this time is wisdom and luck favors the prepared. I told y'all about this 2 months ago. You can call me crazy all you want. I'll be the last man alive and crazy. Y'all better wake up. If you need something, hit me in my DM. I'll be more than happy to show you where you need to go, what you need to read, and help you get up to speed. But in the meantime, in between time, it's game time. It's game time. It ain't no more time to talk about it. It's time to walk it out. This ain't no time to debate about it. It's time to set it up. It's a time for you to think about your family and your friends. They don't give a damn about you. All they care about is that you keep working as a slave. Capitalism is just that. And I'm out. Any questions? Cool. Y'all know they full of shit. In the meantime and in between time, stay alert, stay alive. My Black people, get you some sick days. Or get into a situation where you don't have to answer to nobody. Y'all have a blessed night. Black folks, whenever y'all ready. Whenever y'all ready. I mean, for real, whenever the fuck y'all ready, bro. 'Cause I know I ain't sick of this shit.